Residents of the Brazilian town of People's Alligator are up in arms after environmental authorities took their alligators away. State Environmental Agency IBAMA impounded the 3 alligators living in the fountain in the town's main square after an anonymous tip-off that they were not getting proper care. But town residents said they are the town's symbol, and after living in the fountain for 20 years, are well looked after. People's Alligator got its name when it was founded in 1957 because an alligator was found in a small river nearby, a rarity in Brazil's dry northeast. Yoga seems to be stretching its boundaries with a class that brings dog owners and their pets together on a rubber mat for a half hour. A New York gym called Crunch Fitness has a free half-hour class called Rough Yoga, where the well-known downward dog position seems to have been made just for its members. Susie Tiedelman and her 2-year-old Cocker Spaniel Coley hit the class, where people and their furry friends get together and de-stress and bond together. But dogs will be dogs, and often pet owners have to swiftly detangle from a difficult yoga position to run after their wandering, barking dog and bring it back to the mat. The class incorporates most of the traditional poses, and the dogs are just worked in clever, discreet ways. Dog owner Sarah Klein, who has attended all of the rough yoga sessions, says she has noticed that the class has a remarkably calming influence on her Cocker Spaniel, Isaac. Yoga for dogs, sometimes called doga, has taken hold with pet lovers beyond New York. On bookshelves is Doga, Yoga for Dogs from Chronicle Books. The book is based on the fact that some of yoga's best-known positions are based on the movements of dogs. It also has tips on practicing yoga with your dog. And yoga guru Bruce Van Horn says he has noticed with his own dog that the relaxation of yoga can rub off. At the end of the class at Madison Square Park, as the owners recite to relax, the dogs have their own way of cooling off. A quick dip in the pool with their fellow furry friends is a perfect end to the rough yoga class. When paleontologists first discovered the tusks of this elephant-like creature in the sand, about 40 kilometers north of Munich, they thought it was a Gomphotherium, a prehistoric animal in the mammoth and elephant family. Hans-Joachim Grigor saw the remains of the bones by chance as he was driving past the sandpit one day. excavations could not begin due to the fact that the sandpit was still in use. Grigor said he noticed two brown stripes in the wall, parallel to one another, which could have only been two tusks. As excited as they were at the find, they still could not know exactly what kind of animal it was. As the digging got underway, Grigor said the scientists were astounded to discover that it was not Gomphotherium at all. Another paleontologist involved in the dig estimated the bones to be about 14 to 15 million years old. Some have been destroyed through the sandpit digging, but a shoulder blade, a thigh bone, some vertebrae, and the shovel-shaped tusks are still in relatively good condition. This is only the second time a prehistoric elephant has been discovered in continental Europe. In 1971, scientists excavated a near-completed animal in Mühldorf, also in Bavaria. Every year, the town of Lopburi, approximately 150 kilometres north of Bangkok, hosts a spectacular outdoor feast. The guests of honour have a blast climbing over the food, stealing treats from each other and tossing their leftovers onto the ground. That's because the monkeys here are allowed to do anything they want, for they are the town's blessed animals. At dawn, dozens of villagers prepare the lavish banquet with a table topped with 3,000 kilograms of fruits, vegetables, boiled eggs, nuts and sweets. The feast is a celebration that commemorates the close relationship between beasts and human beings. According to legend, the hero of the Ramayana epic rewarded his friend Hanuman the Monkey King with the fiefdom of what is now Lopburi. Nowadays, local residents still believe monkeys rule over the area around the town's most sacred sites, the Khmer ruin of Samprangyod and the nearby shrine of Sanprakan. Although the monkeys live in the midst of the city and are not afraid of humans, they are kept wild. Wild enough not to be shy about climbing over the huge tables of fruit and vegetables, drinking soda out of the can, and grooming each other in front of their hosts. But as much as this feast is monkey business, villagers and other visitors do keep watch over the energetic monkeys as they like to grab things. They often make off with jewellery, candy, and even baby bottles, reason why people try to lure them with other tastes. And according to Thai beliefs, donating food to the monkeys is an ideal way to accrue good karma. And judging from the hundreds of healthy monkeys scampering about, Lopburi residents must have surely won the highest level in Buddhist heaven. In a distinctly Kiwi version of Pamplona's famed Running of the Bulls, the small New Zealand town of Te Kuiti witnessed its own woolly version. As part of the ever-popular New Zealand Shearing Championships, where the country's top farmers bid to outdo each other in removing a sheep's fleece, organisers decided to parade 2,000 sheep through the town. With the legendary All Black rugby player Colin Mead leading the flock, it seemed that nothing could go wrong. But the sheep, perhaps in revenge for the humiliation of being sheared in public, took it upon themselves to take off on an unscheduled romp through the town. After the fun and games, the serious business of sheep shearing was the focus, as shearing legend David Fagan again competed for another title. Koalas in a Belgian zoo are living on eucalyptus leaves produced in and imported from the United Kingdom. It's a race against time to deliver the expensive and vital delicacies in less than 12 hours. Time matters because these koalas want their tucker as fresh as possible. And as Australian eucalyptus is out of the question, the next best thing is flown in fresh from Britain. Kulungaluk and Dichitoda, the two koalas living at Plankandiel, have very strict dietary needs and require specific types of eucalyptus leaves in order to survive. VLM Airlines, a small Flemish air carrier flying daily between Antwerp and London City Airport, delivers fresh eucalyptus leaves to the zoo near Antwerp. And they do it for free, for the sake of the koalas and branding. The leaves come from Mac Foliage, a British company specialising in growing more than 30 different species of eucalyptus. They export and distribute to zoos and animal parks, as well as florists and wholesalers across Europe. The zoos of Duisburg in Germany, Boival in France, and Vienna in Austria are also feeding their koalas on Devon-grown eucalyptus. Koalas come originally from Australia and were almost made extinct in the last century, and are now on the list of endangered animals. Their very name comes from an Aboriginal word meaning no drink, because the animal receives 90% of its hydration from the eucalyptus leaves. Australia does not allow koalas to be exported anymore. Koalas grow to approximately 85 centimetres in height and weigh between 5 to 11 kilograms. When koalas give birth to immature young, which are only 2 centimetres long, they weigh less than 1 gram. The cub then develops further in the mother's pouch. Only at 6 months will the baby come out of its mum's pouch, most likely to the sight of fresh eucalyptus leaves. Made in England, of course. Debeo, an 11-year-old female golden monkey in Beijing Safari Park, gave birth to twin males. The twin golden monkeys, in very good condition, weigh some 0.5 kilograms each and are 20 centimetres tall. They were breastfed by their mother. A rare animal species in the world, the golden monkeys, which have been listed under priority state protection in China, inhabit mainly the mountainous areas. There are only about 10,000 left in the wild, and since the group is relatively small, it's quite rare to find twin golden monkeys. There are 35 golden monkeys in this park. Before the park hosted this first pair of twin golden monkeys born in China, it saw another 2 single-birth baby golden monkeys born earlier in the year. It seems that in the year of the monkey, golden monkeys were very productive. In order to help DeBeo produce more milk, keepers provided nutritious foods such as Chinese dates, milk powder, walnuts, and peanuts. Kaguya the mouse looks like any other mouse you might find in a laboratory, except she was created without help from a male mouse. Bees, ants, aphids, some fish and reptiles reproduce without having sex in a process called parthenogenesis. But creating a living mammal from same-sex parents was thought to be impossible until now. The birth of Kaguya, the daughter of 2 female mice, shows that a healthy mammal known as a parthenote can be created without any male help. Mammals inherit one set of chromosomes from their mothers and another from their fathers. Embryos containing only female chromosomes usually die early in the womb, and those with only male genetic material are abnormal. The fused eggs were chemically activated to produce embryos that were implanted into the wombs of mice. Only 0.6% of the embryos created survived. It took hundreds of fused eggs to produce 28 offspring, but Kaguya was the only mouse to survive. The research showed it was highly unlikely the technique could be applied to humans. This wildlife game auction in South Africa is regarded as the biggest of its kind in the world. It's held every year to provide the country's public and private game reserves with an opportunity to buy wildlife from other game reserves that have an overabundance of certain species. An overabundance of game in a restricted area can have disastrous consequences, and this annual event provides a legal and transparent forum for the sale of species that are often endangered. Revenues derived from game sales are utilised for conservation programs. The use of helicopters in game capture operations was introduced in the 1970s. Large mammals like the rhino are located by air and darted with minimal stress before being relocated using special heavy lift helicopters. Rated by the game industry as the top game auction in the world, the annual KZN Wildlife Game Auction has earned a solid reputation in the industry for providing top-quality game kept and delivered under excellent conditions. Species to be caught and auctioned this particular year included white rhino, nyala, kudu, zebra, giraffe, ostrich, blue wildebeest, warthog and impala. After a 17-year nap, trillions of red-eyed insects crawled their way above ground in 14 states and the nation's capital in America. The 1 to half-inch long black bugs with iridescent wings buzz around, but they're harmless. They don't bite or sting, and they live above ground as adults for about 3 weeks, just long enough to reproduce before dying. They tend to thrive in sunlit forest edges which often provide the warmer weather, and younger trees, most ideal for them to lay their young. That's because younger tree roots can sustain the 17-year feeding cycle of nymphic cicadas until they mature. There are more than a dozen broods of 17-year cicadas, along with several 13-year varieties. This group, Brood X, was the largest and is concentrated in the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic portion of the US. The periodical cicadas burrow into the ground after hatching, some digging as far as 2.44 meters under. Below the earth, the nymphs slowly suck the sap from tree roots for nourishment. After 17 years, they emerge and climb trees and shrubs where they shed their crunchy skins and harden into maturity. The insects are a delicacy for birds, squirrels, and even some pets. Once the bugs mate, the females cut slits into tree branches where they deposit 400 to 600 eggs. The adults quickly die, but the eggs hatch in a few weeks. These young cicadas who dig into the ground won't emerge until 2021. This may look like three frogs mating, but experts believe it's actually one frog with three heads. This unusual amphibian also has 6 legs. It was found at a children's day nursery in the English village of Weston-super-Mare in Somerset. Wildlife experts are stunned. This modern version of Noah's Ark is situated in the basement of London's Natural History Museum's Darwin Centre. Thanks to DNA technology, the genetic imprint of any species can now be preserved. From this, the core collection will be stored here and at the Zoological Society of London, creating the world's first DNA and tissue bank for all endangered species. Priority will be given to animals in danger of extinction within 5 years and those extinct in the wild. The focus will then turn to those expected to disappear within decades. Sir Crispin Tickell, formerly UK Ambassador to the United Nations, is the patron. The first entries include a yellow seahorse, a dove from Mexico, and a horned oryx from North Africa. 300 years ago, the dodo, a flightless bird, was hunted to extinction. And launching the Frozen Ark should be a major step towards ensuring as many species as possible continue to enrich our world.